watch it fly. It's caught by Thomas. There's the record for Peyton Manning.
Nothing wrong with Orange and Blue Podcast.
And welcome into the show, everybody. I'm Johnny Baki, joined as always by my best friend Isaiah Henderson. No, it's me. It's Mundungus and Glenn. We are filling in today. Johnny is currently in Denver, getting ready to go to that Kansas City Chiefs game, and so he's got some bad internet reception and didn't want to do like the whole mobile podcast thing again. We're not gonna do that. And Isaiah's got some family stuff he's dealing with right now, so he's gonna jump into this when he can. Otherwise, you just like lightened your skin color a lot.
We're totally overexposed to this week with yesterday, today, and tomorrow, Mike. So hopefully,
well, it happens. I know that everyone.
Hopefully, we're mildly entertaining.
Well, I know that everyone loves seeing yours in my face all the time, like 3 times a week, and that's fine. But I do want to remind everyone that with the switch over to the offseason, because this is the last game of the year, the schedule for the MHRT Network is changing. The MHRT podcast, the one we had last night, the one we have every Thursday, and the one that's been there for 2 years, we are now moving it to Tuesdays at 7654. And the Nothing Rhymes with Orange and Blue podcast, which is right now, will now be on Thursdays at 7654. The neighborhood pregame show, we have one show left. That's going to be tomorrow before the Chiefs game. And then that's it for that one until next season. We are no longer going to be carrying Broncos talk. Don is going to be taking that back over, and he's going to continue doing Broncos talk on his Anchor channel. So go ahead and go check that out. But remember the change. MHRT on Tuesdays, Nothing Rhymes on Thursdays, and that's what it's going to be through the off season. It's also going to be kind of cool because like we're going to have Rich will be doing some guest spots with us and some videos. Bree's going to be joining us part-time in the off season. That's going to be really fun. We'll also have some other guests. Broncos Bill will be on as well. He's been on the last 2. He's really fun.
I feel like you should be playing like the Jefferson song, like because we're moving on up to the Tuesday.
NRW crew, kind of. Kind of. I did notice that we went from like a certain number of viewers, and then they saw us and went, and then what did you say on Sundays at 79232? I did. That's exactly what I said. Sundays at 79232. Now, we talked about it last night, but I want to talk about it again because this seems to be, and you and I have kind of been on the same page since the beginning of last season. Like the big thing right now.
I don't know why I'm nodding. I was like, oh yeah, I know.
Yeah, we have. You don't know what I'm talking about yet.
That's dangerous.
And even like right now, like the sides are still separated by a lot. And I don't understand why we're still having this conversation about Drew Lock. Like I don't hate the guy. I don't dislike the guy. I like him as a person. I think that he's progressed. But at the same time, like, where's this evidence that he deserves to start next year? Where's all the plays that he's done that says that he deserves to be a starting quarterback? That's what I'm not understanding. Like, where's all this evidence that we're supposed to be looking at that's like, yeah, Drew Lock is definitely a starting quarterback?
I have no idea. Again, like we've been Drew proponents in the past, but the amount of mistakes that happened last season, and obviously, granted, the offensive coaching has not been stellar to say the least, but he's making decisions on the field that were, I heard him call the turnover machine over and over and over again. And just because he's had 2 clean games in the last 2 weeks, we've lost those games, in a major fashion, and we're out of the playoffs. So not putting it all on Drew again, like not putting it on, but I don't know how many appearances you need to have before people say, you know what, maybe I've seen enough. This guy can have a nice Chase Daniels type of career as a backup in the NFL, where he can step in and do his thing. But I just don't see that team's going to have him as a starting quarterback.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, we're sitting here saying that Drew Lock has played better, but his play is basically up to par with Teddy Bridgewater. So everyone's like, oh, Teddy Bridgewater, we know he's not the answer. He's not going to be the guy. But then Lock's play is exactly like Teddy Bridgewater. We just score less. So I don't understand where the difference in that is. And I saw a report that was saying, I don't remember who said it, but it was there was a higher percentage of 8-man in the box when Drew Lock is playing as opposed to when Teddy's playing. So what that says to me is that they don't think that Lock can beat them with his arm, and so they're stacking the box to stop the run. That's what that says to me. Or am I wrong?
No, that's what that would mean, but I had not heard the statistic.
Yeah, I think it was like 40. It's like 41% is 8-man in the box when Drew is playing, and then it's 27% when Teddy's playing.
Yeah.
And again, like last night, I'd asked, why are we having such an issue with the running game now that Drew's in there? And if that's what that is, that would make sense. Like, they're like, okay, your best thing is your running game. Let's put 8-man in the box and stop that and see if you can beat us with your arm. And obviously they don't think that Drew can. Now, I'm not saying that some of that blame doesn't fall on the receivers that have been dropping the ball. Some of that's on Drew overthrowing receivers, or I still think that there's a discrepancy there between how hard Drew throws the ball and how hard Teddy throws the ball, and the receivers trying to get used to that. I mean, it's kind of like going from a Brett Favre ball to a Case Keenum ball. You know what I mean?
Ball, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about that. I can't throw it that fast either. But yeah, and Danny says coaching. Exactly. It's a Shermer thing.
It really is. And I mean, it's I've never been more anxious for a season to end than this one, I think, because I need to see what happens on Monday. I mean, that's really what it all boils down to. That's going to define so much of our plan for the future, quite honestly.
Yeah, KBA2 says, I feel like this year was the best year to start Lock. 3 easy games to start, and if you didn't want to start him, they should have traded him. I'm still up in the air on that one, whether they should have had Lock over Teddy. I mean, we can look back on it now, hindsight's 20/20, and be like, oh, well, it wouldn't have mattered. I can't sit here and say that I think that it would have made a difference. I still hold to the, what I was thinking, that the coaches just don't trust Drew Lock, and that's why he didn't start. It wasn't so much a lack of talent or, that Teddy is more talented or a better quarterback. It's the coaches just didn't trust Drew Lock to not turn the ball over.
And I don't even think it was a bias against Drew. I think it was that they were worried about mistakes and they were worried about the job. The narrative that they were playing Teddy, when the best bet to save their job is to play Drew, it doesn't make any sense. But, for him, I don't see him not being with the Broncos next year, quite honestly. I mean, at his salary with one more year to go, it would be silly to trade him unless they just figure that they don't want the hassle with the butting heads is all with the fans. And I don't think the front office cares about, the strife online.
They're all sitting back just pointing and laughing like, ah.
Right. Because from all indications is that Teddy was a great mentor to Drew, and there's a lot of mutual respect there. So I think it was a very good experience for both of them, even with Drew losing his starting spot. So I can't not see him, or I should say, I totally see him being the backup next year because his salary is so advantageous.
I mean, with how well Drew played in those 5 games his rookie year, I got to say Joe Flacco was probably the best mentor he's ever had as a football player. Joe Flacco was that mentor that he needed to get him that 4-1 record.
Remember when Drew won that first game and he's all excited and Flacco wouldn't even he just stood there with slaps on the. I mean, that guy was just
Oh.
terrible teammate.
So you think Drew stays as a backup next year?
I think he stays with the Broncos.
Okay. And I know KB82 says, I'm not sure if he's doing talk to text. Want to start like him. Why didn't they trade him for a 5th round? I'm going to assume that I thought that Locke would have been traded by the trade deadline. That's what I thought. My assumption is that the coaches have less belief in Rippon than they do in Locke. Like, you can look at a quarterback and be like, you are most definitely not a starting quarterback. You might not even be a good backup. And I'm guessing that's kind of what they feel about Rippon, is like, we don't know if you're going to be a good backup. Whereas with Locke, we know you're going to be a good backup. We just don't know if you're going to be a good starter. That's my assumption as to why they didn't let him go.
I think they think that Rippon is going to be the next Kellen Moore, quite honestly. You know?
Yeah, I mean, look at it. If, let's say that they had traded Locke and kept Rippon, we'd be playing Rippon right now, which is fine. I mean, I don't hate the guy, but Rippon also isn't as talented as Locke. The one thing that Rippon had that Locke didn't is that Rippon was able to figure out all the pre-snap stuff, all the mental aspects of the game that Locke was struggling with last year.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to, envision what the season could have been like had Teddy not gotten injured. That first concussion against the Ravens. I mean, that really, it was game 4 and we were on track for a potential incredible start to the season. And that really kind of knocked us for a loop there.
Well, and I was listening to DNVR earlier, and they were talking about, how does Vic Fangio sell himself so that he keeps his job? And I guess they were saying that Fangio was under the belief that if they were able to keep Teddy over these last couple games, or any games that he'd gotten injured in that he missed, that they would have won the majority of those games that they lost if he was still in. So somehow Fangio is selling the front office on the idea that if Teddy had been in instead of Drew, they would have won more games. And I don't, I don't know if I believe that.
Yeah. Look into my eyes.
Yeah, it's like, I don't.
We would have won. We would have won.
Well, and then Kliss, I guess Kliss did an interview today. I don't remember what what radio channel he was on, but he said that it's to him, it looks like Fangio is gone, and it doesn't matter what this last game, how it turns out, that he's gone no matter what. And they were talking about the possibility of there being thousands of seats that are just empty because people do not want to see another Fangio loss. And so what they're doing is not showing up to the game. I mean, imagine going to Empower Field and the majority of it is red. Like, how as a GM, as a president, a CEO of the team, how do you then go back to the fans and be like, that's okay. We believe in him. We're going to keep him. Like, how do you do that? I am under the belief that this game means nothing for the decisions that are going to be made on Monday. I mean, because this game means nothing. It really does. Rippon's undefeated. Yeah, buddy.
And he can thank Jerry Jeudy for that.
We got an undefeated Rippon and a Hall of Famer Kendall Hinton. Put those two together, boy, we could shoot to the moon. Let's see here. All right, so let's kind of move from there because we don't really know what's going to happen with the quarterback next year. I'm pretty sure. I'm like 100% sure Teddy Bridgewater is not coming back next year. I mean, you've got to think that Teddy Bridgewater is not going to be a thing in Denver next year.
I don't expect that.
And I know Nick Kendall put out a tweet. I'm going to see if I can find it. Probably not. But he had a list of like free agent quarterbacks. Andy Dalton was on it. You had Marcus Mariota. You had a potential trade for Gardner Minshew.
God, you love that.
I have no problem with Minshew at all. Like, and this is what I keep telling people. Like, if you look at how Minshew has played, he put up some pretty good numbers with the Jags with just DJ Chark. That was it. That's all they had. And the coaching was not good either. So it's like, if you take if you take Gardner Minshew, and then the one game he started with the Eagles this year was fantastic. So you take Gardner Minshew and put him on a roster like Denver's, why would you have a problem with that?
I mean, what was fantastic about that was his celebration with his dad in the parking lot after the game. That was a little strange.
Dude, there was some massive hugging going on. Like
there was some
I thought they were beating the crap out of each other.
I heard someone say on the radio that if that video had a smell to it, it would have been stale cigarettes. But it's pretty good.
Avatar says, "What's up, Broncos country? Sorry I'm late. I had to clean up someone's muddy footprints in our kitchen. Those bastards."
I'm assuming there were 4 of them.
Ryan Fitzpatrick, I'm down. Ryan Fitzpatrick sounds good to me. Bring Richie in some Fitz magic.
Richie's pandering already.
He's sucking up to the boss. That's what you got to do. Sucking up to the boss.
So EJ had a thought up here.
Yep. Fire Fangio, Sherman McMahon, keep Munchak, Kohler, and Azani. I question Azani. And the reason why I say that is because we have had some wide receiver struggles with not running proper routes and drops. But I don't know how much of that is on Shermer, how much of that is on Azani, or how much of that is on the players. I mean, you would think that the improper routes is on the coaching, and whether they're being taught that by Shermer or not, Azani should be able to go in there and fix that. So I'm questioning Azani just because of the wide receiver play over the last couple of years.
Well, and we've been touting him, and there was even talk like if they gotten rid of Shermer as offensive coordinator midseason, is Azani able to call plays? And Tim Jenkins has put out some videos that have shown some of the receiving route running shortcomings that I hadn't noticed on my own, and that was definitely interesting. I mean,
and I kind of wonder, like, because when you go and you watch Hard Knocks, and obviously Hard Knocks is not a good thing to go off of, but when they're showing the players all together and are breaking up into their position groups and doing the things they need to do, it's the position coach that is the one that is with them, working with them, teaching them, coaching them how to run these routes and how to do these things. So you sit here and you look at how the wide receivers are running their routes and how they're running them wrong, and why they're having so many drops over the last couple of years. You've got to think that that's a direct result of Azani. And I'm not saying he's a bad coach. I'm just saying I'm questioning whether he's a coach that you want to keep because of the struggles we've had over the last 2 years in route running and drops.
I think we keep him. We've retained our top wide receivers moving forward. We have that core, and they all seem to have a lot of respect for him and as a coach. And I think continuity is good, especially when there's going to be a lot of turnover. It would certainly appear.
My 4-year-old's trying to break into the room. She's like, open the door. Go away. Let's see here.
You should take that as a compliment. Most people are trying to run the opposite.
Right? Fangio, Shermer, McMahon, I completely understand. I wonder what they're going to do with Munchak. Because my thing is let's say that they decide to keep Fangio, right? In my mind, you give Fangio 1 year. Once that 1 year is done, if he hasn't improved at all, he's gone. So what offensive coordinator is going to want to come in and be like, okay, we have 1 year? So then my question is, are they going to bump up Munchak to offensive coordinator if they end up letting Shermer go and keeping Fangio? Do they promote in-house? Because you can't think that they're going to have the pick of the litter if they're going to stick with Fangio at offensive coordinator.
See, I do disagree with that. Excuse me. Is that these coaches are used to moving around. They're used to volatile, housing situations and coaching situations. They're going to sign a contract that's going to be a multi-year deal, regardless of whether Fangio has a deal that matches up in length to theirs. So they're going to have the security anyway. So I don't see that being a a barrier as far as getting any sort of solid offensive coordinator. And there are plenty of position coaches that are going to be looking to get upgraded to a coordinator position and a coordinator salary. So I don't see that being a problem at all.
Okay. Rich says we've also had some of them slow up on routes. Yeah. KB82 says, let's get Jameis and hold out for the quarterbacks in next year's draft. I'm thinking Bryce Young. Well, but that's if he leaves early, though, because Bryce Young is a sophomore, right?
Bryce Young might actually make less money turning pro than he is as a collegiate. I think he made
right.
I think he made 1.5 this year. Is what I believe the number was with the NIL.
Do you really want to go with Jameis Winston though? Like, is Jameis Winston really any better than he was at the Bucs? I mean, I'm assuming that he's playing better because he's being coached by Sean Payton. But if you throw him in the Broncos with what we currently have, I mean, we've already seen one quarterback, Teddy Bridgewater, go from the Saints and how well they played there and then come here, and that's not how they played here. Do we really want to go with Jameis Winston and have a 30-30 season? 30 touchdowns, 30 picks? I don't know.
And the 30-30 used to be a Major League Baseball statistic, not an NFL quarterback. And I believe he had 6 fumbles on top of that. So he was like a 30-36 guy.
Yeah. Let's see here. But yeah, it sounds to me, it sounds like the decision has already been made and that Fangio is going to be gone. Mm-hmm. But I can see the other side of it where people are like, no, he's just going to get rid of the offensive coordinator, the special teams coordinator, and bring new people in. And I still think that it has something to do with ownership. Because we were talking about it last night where ownership is basically going to be solved in March, is what you guys said, right? Ellis and Elway are like done March, and the new owners are taking over. And I know that there was some talk about like, well, maybe they had secret meetings with the owner about the new owner picking a head coach for next year. No, that's not happening. Then we would obviously know who that is. But yeah, do we have any other clarification on what exactly is happening with ownership? Is it an actual sale to somebody new, or is it a sale as in like all of the Bolin family are selling their shares of the Broncos to Brittany Bolin? Like, do we have any idea what's going on?
Everything that I've seen has indicated new ownership. I mean, where's Brittany Bolin going to get the money to buy out the siblings?
I don't know.
And not to mention, Pat's brother is the one that actually owns the highest percentage of the team. So he stands to make a real pretty penny when the sale is complete. Quite honestly, with the way things have gone, I would think that all the kids would just want to be done with it. You know, negotiate a free suite for the rest of your life and walk away with $500 million a person and call it.
You're making a buttload of money by selling the team. You said $4 billion is what Denver's worth, right? Well, the Broncos, not the
I'm going to predict that depending on. I'm actually going to predict that it goes for higher than $4 billion. I think that I think it's that attractive. How many teams? First of all, this guaranteed the profits that you're buying just with the TV deal are through the roof, and the fact that you get a sold out stadium, at least presently, and there's no indication that season tickets are going to go, by the boards in the interim anyway. To get 76,000 paying fans every single game, 8 to 10 games a year, is just massive. I mean, this is a cash cow, and it would be absolutely crazy for people that want to own an NFL team not to be lining up and throwing their hat in the ring for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Would you be okay? Hold on. Hold on. Would you? Okay. if couldn't make deals for Rodgers or Wilson, but got Cousins instead. I'm perfectly fine with Kirk Cousins. I have no issues. The only problem that I have with Kirk Cousins is, holy crap, he's expensive. Something would have to get figured out contract wise, because that's like a $40 million cap hit.
Mike's from Nebraska, so he loves Cousins.
I do love Cousins. Wait a minute.
Wait a minute. We just lost whatever Nebraska support we got. Sorry about that.
Yeah, that one person that was in just left. Thanks.
I could have said Northern Maine. Who knows? But I find the guy so unlikable, but everybody keeps being rational, saying that this is a top 10 quarterback in the NFL, that he would. I just look at it as he doesn't seem to be a great leader and he doesn't win, so it's so.
Yeah, Glenn, that's Arkansas. Everybody that was in here that was from Arkansas just left. Okay, so let's go along that line of questioning and look at potential quarterbacks that could be coming to Denver next year, or not could be, but could come to Denver next year. You got Aaron Rodgers. Obviously, that's the big one. And I was having a discussion about it on Twitter, because I was under the assumption that it would be easier for Russell Wilson to leave Seattle and come to Denver than it would be for Aaron Rodgers to leave Green Bay and come to Denver. But that's not actually true, because if you look at it, Green Bay basically can't afford Aaron Rodgers next year. He's got a massive cap hit, and it's down to the point where even if they were able to bring Rodgers back, it would have to be on a renegotiated contract. And we all know the last offseason, Aaron Rodgers really was not happy with renegotiating contract unless he was able to get money up front. So do you really think that Aaron Rodgers is going to take a pay cut to renegotiate a contract to stay in Green Bay?
He won't take a pay cut. I mean, they'd be silly not to throw a ton of money at him. This is a team that is completely flush with cash. They just sold more stock shares. They have more money than they know what to do with. They've got plenty of cash to pay this guy. And he's underpaid. I've heard his salary compared, that he's making Jared Goff money right now. And that's exactly the case. I mean, there's no comparison between the two of them. So
I know his cap hit is $46 million. Is his cap hit next year?
Well, give him 2 years at a guaranteed 45 a year, and call it a day.
Yeah.
Why is Kirk Cousins the only quarterback in NFL history to have a fully guaranteed long-term deal?
Was it like 83 guaranteed up front?
No, it was like 3 years for 96, I believe. That's not
even fair.
Was the original contract, and he's actually signed an extension since then. This guy has a horseshoe so far up his rear end. It's unbelievable.
All right, so you got Aaron Rodgers, and then you got Russell Wilson. With the state of affairs in Seattle, do you actually see Seattle getting rid of Russell Wilson if they're having to, I wouldn't say rebuild, but realign things? Is the best way that I can look at it, realign. But at the same time, if they don't get rid of Wilson, they don't have any like first round picks. So the only way that they're going to get those is by trading Russell Wilson. Right?
Right. Just like you were saying with the Packers not being able to afford Aaron, the Seahawks can't improve with Russell. The fact that they gave up 2 first-round picks for a safety, and then they end up having their worst season in forever, and it's a top 10 pick, at least the one that they're giving up this year in the Jamal Adams trade. I mean, they are really – that cupboard is completely bare. But if they can get a team like the Broncos to come in, throw a couple ones, a 2 and a 3, and maybe a player, I mean, all of a sudden they're back in business. And and the Broncos are back in business because we have 2 2s, we have 2 3s next year. I mean, who would be a better first-round pick for us than Russell Wilson? I mean, can you imagine that guy, the best deep thrower in the NFL right now, dropping bombs to some of our receivers? I mean, Jerry Jeudy might actually get a touchdown. I mean, that would be.
Is he the best deep ball, or is that Rodgers?
I think it's.
I'm going by Hail Marys. Like
okay,
Aaron
Rodgers.
Hail Marys, it's Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers is the most successful Hail Mary quarterback in the history of the NFL. But for a perfectly placed deep ball in stride, I don't think anyone beats Russell Wilson. That's my opinion. And wow. One other thing that
Rodgers for 2 years, 100 mil, 90 guaranteed with the potential for 100 for a Super Bowl appearance. Holy crap.
Yeah, one of the things too that the Broncos do have as far as an advantage too, and I've heard people say, well, why would a quarterback of that stature want to go to the AFC West with the competition, when you're going against Mahomes? And it's been pointed out, obviously, that you're going against the defenses for those teams. You're not going against those quarterbacks. But the Packers and the Seahawks are not going to want to compete if against these ex-quarterbacks on their team. So sending them to the AFC is the most favorable option for them.
You might see him once every 4 years or something.
Right. So, I mean, send Russell to the Broncos. I mean, granted, the Broncos play at Seattle next year. That would be an interesting game.
That's why they won't do it.
Yeah.
So there's Rodgers, there's Wilson, Kirk Cousins we kind of talked about. I have no issues with Kirk Cousins. Love to see Kirk Cousins here. That's fine. Then we go to Matt Ryan. Do you see any reason as to why Matt Ryan would come to the Broncos?
Well, Matt Ryan seems like so much older than he actually is. He's halfway between Rodgers and Russell, but Ryan just seems like the elder statesman of the group, quite honestly. But the guy's not a bad quarterback, and when say the Broncos get Dan Quinn, Rodgers was very successful under him. The situation is that his cap hit for the Falcons is tremendous, and even though the salary cap is going up, these teams are, with all these 1-year deals, these teams are not going to want to piss their cap away on dead money. So I don't see him leaving Atlanta either.
Okay. See, Ben Roethlisberger, no, he's going to retire. Baker Mayfield's been one that's been talked about the last couple of days. Why do they think Baker Mayfield is going to leave the Browns? And why is he a good fit for Denver? That's what I don't get.
Well, people want to see fiery players, and I mean, he's certainly a fiery quarterback. I like Baker a lot. He and Stefanski obviously don't see eye to eye. The whole Odell Beckham thing with the dad sending the video, and then now Baker's fighting with the press. It's going to be, the kiss and make up is going to be a little bit difficult, I think. They've got him under contract for under $20 million next year. I think he's a top tier quarterback. I know a lot of people disagree. But the fact that they're not giving a first pick in the first round of an NFL draft an extension at this point has got to, he's a little PO'd about that for sure. So I don't know how that relationship's going to go, but I mean, he would have been an upgrade certainly over the Broncos. I mean, he didn't have a good year, but he didn't have a good year because he played hurt.
Right. Evening, Carolyn. Okay, so then you're looking more. I don't think there's any other quarterbacks we would trade for. I mean, Gardner Minshew might be one. What about Nick Foles or Mitchell Trubisky? Like, let's say, for example, that Wilson, Rodgers, Cousins, like none of those three are coming. You look at free agent market or like a smaller trade. Obviously, I don't have a problem with Minshew. I don't have a problem with Mariota either. He's going to be a free agent. But what about Trubisky or Foles? Like if we need a bridge.
Here we go.
Another bridge, right?
Yeah. Honestly, we're
You're
there now.
reaching.
KB, you are 1,000,000% right.
I'm just going by who would be available. Like, let's say that we don't get at like the big three that we're looking at.
Did someone mention Philly special? And Mike's like, hey, Nick.
Nick Foles. And then, you look at this year's draft, like I wouldn't have an issue with Carson Strong, but then you're kind of limiting because he can't really run outside the pocket. He's more of an in the pocket passer. I mean, you look at the draft and there's not really a guaranteed day one starter. So if you can't get one of the big three and you're going to have a rookie that needs to sit for a year, who do you play in the meantime? Drew Lock? Or do you go and try to get that bridge? That's what I'm saying. Like there is a legitimate chance that we have to go with another bridge quarterback.
Can you imagine if they bring back Teddy and Drew?
No, no. Please,
I don't see it
go
happening.
get Tebow.
Okay.
No, we're not getting Jameis Winston. Stop. I don't
How
even
does
know.
KB have the nerve to say you're reaching and then he's mentioned Jameis
Just
Winston?
Jameis Winston. Like, I don't know why they wouldn't keep Jameis Winston in New England. Or not New England, New Orleans. That doesn't make any sense.
I mean, he has better access to seafood in the grocery store in New Orleans.
What does that have to do with anything?
Remember he stole the crab legs? Anyway.
Oh, yeah, it did.
Come on, work with me here. Come on.
I'm sorry, I'm trying. Let's see. I'm trying to go over it. Like, I don't want to repeat the same things we said last night, but then again, it's like,
Oh, we have other people in the chat that
I just got tossed into it. I don't know what I'm doing.
Those are two totally unrelated things. You got tossed into it. You don't know what you're doing.
How about a rookie like no, I never know what I'm doing. How about a rookie like the QB from Pitts? Who's the Pittsburgh one? That's Pickett, right?
Yeah.
I think, and I've only done a little bit of research into the college quarterbacks. It's more of a Boggins thing. But as far as I can tell, Pickett is a fairly safe number one quarterback. Then you go, but like even the number one quarterbacks this year aren't like your day one starters. So after you get past number one, there's like a big log jam at two with like Willis or Strong or those are the only two that I can remember outside of Pickett.
Corral.
Corral, there you go.
I mean, that poor guy. I mean, we still haven't heard the extent of his injury, where he plays in the bowl game and here, next thing you know, he's on crutches. Malik Willis is very interesting to me. I mean, everything, and I've watched games with him with Liberty. He looks like a really exciting player. I would not be, if we ended up opting for one of the rookies, that would be one that would be exciting to me for sure. The knock on Pickett, and everyone talks about hand size, is apparently his hands are so small that there's real concern about whether he can effectively hold a pro ball and not be dropping it on a regular basis.
Really?
That's like 8-inch hands. Like where a small hand in the NFL was normally like 9 1/4 or something.
Well, and you know what they say about guys with small hands? They wear small gloves. But they used to say that. Oh, Desmond Ridder. That's the other one. Desmond Ridder. That's the name I wasn't remembering. They used to say that like Russell Wilson was too short to play in the NFL. He can't play in the NFL because he's too short. He's not gonna be able to see over. I said his hands are small, like the guy from Scary Movie. I love that guy. That guy's funny. Okay, so let's we didn't really dig into this yesterday, so let's talk about the Chiefs game. I mean, I know that it really doesn't matter that much, last game of the season, but it's still a Broncos game. Like, I still want Denver to win, but I don't want them to win. Right. That's how confusing it is, because like I never want Broncos to lose, but at the same time, like if we can get a better draft pick, that gives us more ammunition for a bigger trade or a better player. It's Ojabu. Is that his name?
Yep.
Is that the linebacker that Boggins wants? Ojabu.
I believe so.
Okay.
I know he's our college guy. So,
and I know I asked if he wanted to join. He's like, I can't. But yeah, the Chiefs game, when we initially had done our season breakdown, tried to pick what we'd go in the season for wins and losses, we had assumed that at this point, either Denver would have the West locked up, or Kansas City would have the West locked up, and would already have the first round bye, and it would be like second, third stringers. Well, it's not. Denver definitely does not have the West locked up.
It is second and third stringers, however, especially in our secondary.
Well, but I mean, kind of, because there's two of them are out.
3.
So I guess, yeah. Who's the other one? I know it was Darby and Surtain.
Kareem Jackson.
Oh, yeah, Jackson. Yeah, but Caden Stearns isn't really that big of a drop-off, though. At least not so far this year.
I was being facetious about
it. But I mean,
we thought that this game could actually be the deciding game for the AFC West. Like this, I had visions that this was going to be the primetime game. Granted, it is a national game, but it's a national game because it's a national game because it has no impact on Sunday, and they want to keep the suspense going for the following day. But
yeah, because I mean, basically, if the Chiefs win, they get first round bye. If they lose, they don't get a first round bye. I think it also comes down to Tennessee too. Tennessee would have to lose.
New England actually has an opportunity at the first seed. So we're
right, but I thought that it was like if Tennessee wins, no matter what, Tennessee gets the first round bye because they've got the tiebreaker on the Chiefs. So if Tennessee wins, they get the first round bye. If Kansas City wins, Tennessee loses, then Kansas City gets the first round bye. If Kansas City loses and Tennessee loses, that's when I think New England can get the first round bye. I think. I'm pretty sure that's how that works. What? I was just making it up. I was making all of that up. Tennessee will beat Houston. I should hope so. Oh, and Derrick Henry's coming back too. Right in time for me not to be able to use him for fantasy football. Thanks. Yeah. Jerk. But yeah, I mean, it's basically going to be because we had 12 players come back from the COVID list, right?
Yes.
And then 3 went to IR. So like Teddy went to IR, Kareem Jackson went to IR, and Dalton Reisner went to IR.
Yeah, the only player that was on the COVID list last week that didn't come back was Calvin.
Yeah. But we're going to have, so Bobby Massey's back. We're going to have Garrett Bowles, so I'm not that concerned about that. But with Reisner being out, is that where Moody goes?
Yes.
Or are they moving Miners over and Moody at right guard?
I think they'll probably keep Miners where he's been.
Okay.
That would be my guess. I have not heard the coaches mention anything. So
hold on, I gotta block this idiot. There, I got him. Okay, dummy.
Raiders.
I hope not. I hope not. But speaking of the secondary, we are still going to have to try to shut down Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, and Travis Kelce. Now, we did a pretty good job in our first Chiefs game with Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill. They really didn't do anything.
Like, they didn't even have 30 yards each. I mean, that's unbelievable. I mean, Broncos have had good success again, holding Tyreek Hill to minimal success on a somewhat regular basis. It's just the rest of the mistakes, have stacked up and think games have gotten away from them for sure.
Well, and the point was made last night because we talked about the linebackers with Kenny Young, Jonas Griffith, that Kenny Young was more of a liability in pass coverage than Jonas Griffith has been so far. So are we seeing a linebacker cover Travis Kelce again, like it used to be? Are we going to see more of a Jonas Griffith or a Baron Browning go out and try to cover Travis Kelce, or are they going to try to drop Caden Stearns down? Are they going to put a corner on him?
What corner would you put on him?
I don't know, because I mean, you want to have Callahan on the outside. I mean, I almost want to say Fuller because Fuller's going to be, because then he'd be more inside and not having to worry about outside. But I don't like a Stearns match at all. Caden Stearns.
I would like to see that. That would be
Because I mean,
Like
I'm
they passed for
assuming
the
that
rookie.
Ojemudia is going to be in there, but Ojemudia
Oh,
was
no
better
doubt.
on the outside than he was on the inside last year. So I'm assuming Ojemudia is going to take Darby's spot, and then Callahan would take more of a. I hope Callahan would take a Surtain. My guess is they put Fuller on the outside. Yay! So Tyreek Hill could smoke him the whole game. That'll be super fun.
You remember a time when we were all excited about how the Broncos landed Kyle Fuller?
I mean, at the beginning, it was a good signing at the beginning of the
Oh
year.
my gosh, it was
like, this is fantastic. And like
we
8
keep-
games in,
we
what
keep
the
saying-
crap is this?
This guy sucks.
What happened?
They talked to
Yeah,
you,
I
dude.
mean, well, and even the one thing that I didn't see happening in the first game that did was Edwards-Helaire ended up running more than I thought he was going to and getting yardage. But that was also when we were still struggling with linebackers, outside linebackers, trying to figure out who's going to be in, who's out. I think Jonas Griffith and Baron Browning are a really good team in the middle.
Yeah.
And now you've got Stephen Weatherly coming back. You've got Jonathan Cooper. You've got Bradley
How
Chubb
did you
is
say?
back.
How did you say Weatherly without your nickname for him?
I don't want Rich to get angry. It's the mad scientist. That's.
But I feel like Mad Scientist is really taking off. What do you think, Rich?
Hey, that was a good call by EJ. EJ pulled that name out. That was really good. But I feel like going into this matchup against the Chiefs, we have a better defensive lineup in the front 8 than we did before.
No doubt about it. No doubt.
Was that the point you're making? No doubt.
No,
I thought you were going to keep going. That's why I stopped.
no. I was going to say Jonas Griffith. Like, when the Broncos traded for him at the beginning of the season, I'd never even heard of the guy, and it was one of those situations where he was going to be good at special teams, and Peyton was trying to stack the box because Tom McMahon was so bad. So he was really trying to get guys that could, be strong at special teams, real good specialists for that. And the fact that he gets thrown in there and has performed at such a level where now, if you ask people like you did last night, who do they want to sign, who do they want to bring back for these linebackers, Griffith is on every list, and good for him. Talk about taking advantage of an opportunity. I mean, the guy's from Indiana State. He's kind of bounced around the last couple of years, practice squad, undrafted. He's just, his size is amazing. He's 6'4", 250. I'm real happy for him. I'm looking forward to seeing how he does against a team like the Chiefs.
Yeah. Now we know that with was it Frank Clark? He's the one that came back and kind of picked up. No, it wasn't Frank Clark. It was
Chris Jones.
Chris Jones and is it Melvin Ingram? They got traded over to Kansas City.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
Okay. I think it was Chris Jones and Melvin Ingram when they kind of came back and came into the Chiefs. That's when you had the uptick in defense for the Chiefs.
Yeah.
They were able to shut down the run better than they had earlier in the season. So do we think that Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams are going to have the same struggles running the ball against the Chiefs that they have in the last 2 games? Are we still going to try to be out throwing them? Because that's not really the position you want to be in when you're going up against Mahomes.
I don't see the Broncos playing Javonte very much at all tomorrow.
Really?
No, I don't. I think he'll get a few series. And, they were even talking about on Broncos Country tonight about, do you worry about guys getting that you're going to need for next year, getting injured in a meaningless game, So that wouldn't surprise me if Javonte played a little bit and Melvin and Boone got the majority of the carries.
Okay, so then do you see Denver bringing back Melvin Gordon next year? Because I'm assuming that Williams isn't going to get as many carries because we want to try to keep him healthy and fresh for next year, like not burn him out, not get him injured.
I think you just worry about like a a torn up knee in the last game of the season, and then
Right.
the guy's gone for half the year.
So then, do you think that Denver's going to re-sign Melvin Gordon and go with Gordon and Williams again next year?
It seemed more likely a few weeks ago, but I really do believe that it's completely salary driven. So there's KB. If it's a Mike Boone show, I'd love to see that. I think
that one run he had was really good. I do want to see Mike Boone on return though. Like they had him back there doing kick returns, just not punt returns. They still had Spencer on punt returns. I wouldn't mind seeing Boone back there on punt returns.
Right. Kenny was asking who was going to kick. I mean, I'm still under the impression that the
Kendall Hinton.
What? Hall of Famer Kendall Stenner.
Hall of Famer Kendall Hinton. That's who's going in there to kick.
I'm still under the impression that Martin and McManus are going to be back, but what about Thunder? Like just hike it and Thunder does a backwards leg kick and sends it through the uprights.
You'd have to train him pretty well. And then what happens if he gets hit? Like, what are you going to do then?
Who's going to hit a horse?
I don't know. You never know. Sometimes you can't stop that fast.
Which actually would hurt Thunder's trade value, because remember, Don wanted to send Thunder to Seattle for Russell Wilson.
Oh man. He wouldn't be able to run across the field. Let's see here. Brad Smith. I haven't heard that name before. Welcome, Brad. Hey guys, in your opinion, would Broncos even consider trading Jerry Jeudy with picks for a QB1 or for a QB? I really hope that doesn't happen. I think that they would trade Noah Fant before they traded Jerry Jeudy.
Yeah, there was no talk of Jerry Jeudy being traded until Peter King floated that trade idea with the Packers, where Broncos would include him in a package for Rodgers and then sign Devontae Adams in free agency. That was the only time I heard that Jerry could possibly be traded. The cap hit or the dead money on trading either Cortland or Sutton.
Those are the same people.
Cortland
and Sutton are the same people.
All right,
Sutton or Patrick.
You know what I'm talking about. Yeah, the cap hit on trading either one of those guys that we just signed is really minimal. Not that I think it's something that they'd be looking to do, but I'm with Mike. I think that Fant is probably a very attractive option as far as if they wanted an offensive weapon. He's got one more year on his rookie deal, and as a first-round pick, they could pick up the option as well. So I don't see Jerry. They've got a couple more years plus a potential option on him as a first-round pick. I just can't see that.
Well, it's really hard to know, because I mean, you look at the offense this year, and they've scored less points than the offense did last year, and the offense last year was terrible.
Let's face it. I mean, Jerry gets hurt in the first game. He had an incredible camp. Everyone was just raving about it. He had such a rapport with Teddy Bridgewater, and he missed half the season, and then the play calling has just been horrendous. I mean, we re-sign these 2 star receivers, and then no one gets a pass. I mean, it's just Noah Fant's going to be our leading receiver, and he doesn't even have 70 catches. Like, this is absurd.
That's why it's so weird when you look at this year, because you've got Teddy Bridgewater starting most of the season. And when you look at Teddy Bridgewater, the players that were benefiting the most from Teddy Bridgewater being in there was Tim Patrick and the running backs. Well, now you got Locke in there, and now we're seeing more of Fant and Cortland Sutton. And you're not really getting anything from Patrick. You're not really, and Jerry Jeudy just disappeared altogether. I don't know if it was a Shermer thing or they just, I don't know. He disappeared. I don't think he has a touchdown this year, does he?
No, he doesn't. I mean, going back to Fant, wouldn't you just love for them to steal every Raiders pass play that they have set up for Darren Waller and just try those with Noah? I mean, he's capable of all of those in stride receiving, the in-stride receptions. They don't do that. I mean, I think about the game, Drew's best game against the Texans. when he threaded the needle and Fant caught that and ended up running down the sideline for a massive gain. I mean, that is, we've wasted so much of this guy's potential with the terrible play calling that we've given him.
Yeah, and it's just like when you talk about Noah Fant, in your mind when we drafted him, you're thinking, okay, he's going to be the Travis Kelce type. He's going to be the Darren Waller type. He's going to be that type of tight end that no matter what, you can throw him the ball and he's going to go get it, whether it's a short pass, whether it's a deep throw, it doesn't matter. But then with Teddy Bridgewater, I don't know if something just didn't click or if Fant was going through something or Teddy was going through something or it wasn't schemed in a way that Fant was supposed to get the ball. But we haven't seen anything from Fant. And then Locke comes in and Fant has a game that you're expecting him to have. Like, that's when he's starting to get the ball and he's getting the yards after catch. And even when Fant was getting the ball with Teddy, you weren't seeing the yards after catch. You weren't seeing the deep passes or the difficult passes being caught by Fant that we got used to. And so you look at it and you're like, well, I think that Denver would trade Fant before they'd trade Judy. But then you look at it and you're like, okay, well, it also depends on the quarterback, though. Because, like, if you've got Teddy Bridgewater, you'd get rid of Fant before you got rid of Judy. But if you got Locke, you'd get rid of Judy before you get rid of Fant.
Right. And I stand corrected as far as Fant being the top receiver. He is the top receiver in terms of receptions, not in terms of yards. Cortland has it in yards. But, I mean, look at this team. We don't have a 1,000-yard receiver. I mean, unbelievable.
KBA2 says, promote Teddy Bridgewater to coach. Kind of like an Elway promotion. Fire him from quarterback and promote him to coach. No, Rippin is coach. That's who we want. Now Bridgewater, Rippin.
And congratulations to Teddy, Congratulations to Teddy, by the way, for winning the Derek Williams nice guy. Good guy.
Good guy award. And then Justin Simmons won
the Demaryius Thomas team MVP. And both of those were the Football Writers Association, the Denver chapter. Any of the writers with that, they voted on both of those awards. And if you haven't gotten a chance to watch the press conferences with either one of those guys when they received the awards, you can see why each of them was given that honor. I mean, they're both, by all accounts, just spectacular guys on and off the field,
So congrats to those two. Let's go with final score predictions. And then we'll go on to a coaching question after that. Who do you think is going to win the game and what the score is going to be against the Chiefs?
Yeah, I hate to say it, but I got to stick with nothing's changed in the last 24 hours to change the 37-13 Chiefs that I think is coming our way, which is too bad.
Go ahead.
No, I was.
Which is too bad. What?
No, which is too bad because the fact that we actually have a national game, the one game at that time, just tells me that it's just. I'm hoping we give a better showing than that, but I just unfortunately don't have a lot of confidence that because the Chiefs have everything to play for and the Broncos don't.
Yeah, I think I said 21-7. I think that's what I said.
I think you did. I think that's right.
Something like that. I know Denver's like 1 point. I think 21-7 for Kansas City. Brad says, guys, if you had a choice of gettable QBs, who would you be targeting? I guess it depends on what you mean by gettable. Who would I prefer to get? Rodgers or Wilson? If not, Minshew.
That's what you got to narrow it down to one.
Okay. So if we're talking gettable, like we could go get them right now.
No, of guys that are likely of it. Come on, Mike. Quit stalling.
Dude, I'm just saying. No, I'm just like, okay, if you look at it right now, we have no idea if Green Bay is going to let Rodgers go. We have no idea if. But this is what I'm saying. Like, if you look at it right now, we have no idea if Rodgers is actually going to leave Green Bay. Not whether Green Bay let him go, but whether Rodgers will even leave or if he's going to retire. I don't know.
Plus, we don't know what kind of behind-the-scenes deals have been made. Like, the agreement that the Packers made with Rodgers in the offseason did not give him any leverage after this year. His leverage is after next year. I mean, his only leverage after this year would be to quit. And I can't see him doing that, especially when he's going to be right up there, 1 or 2 in the MVP voting.
So if we're going to go, if we're going to go, who is my choice of quarterback? I would rather have Wilson.
Me too.
If we can't get the elite quarterbacks, the big trade, then Minshew is who I'd want to go with. That's.
Yeah. I mean, Dave mentions Deshaun Watson. I don't want anything to do with that.
Watson will be cleared. No, he's
He
going.
won't be cleared.
No, he's not.
He will have settled. He will not.
It's not even that anymore. Like it's not at a civil case anymore. It's it's not called grand jury. He's going to discovery to find out he's actually going to court, and they're opening up all the discovery of the evidence to decide if they want to charge him. Like it's past settling now.
Yeah.
So not gonna happen.
I find that would be a very tough explanation to especially your female fan base that he's the guy you give all your draft capital for, but that's just my personal opinion. I love a Russell Wilson. I think the time is definitely for a change. The thought that his wife will have any influence as far as with her career, where they should go, she can hop on a plane and hop anywhere. She's been doing that anyway. Russell's going to be able to afford a private jet and send Ciara to LA or New York or wherever, and they can enjoy Denver, and he can win a couple more Super Bowls with the talent that we have here. I think that would be an excellent fit. And he's at an age too that we would be guaranteed to have him for quite a while.
So
that being said, though, Mike, I'm not opposed to getting I'm not opposed to Rodgers based on his age. I mean, this guy.
No.
I mean, we've missed the playoffs for 6 years in a row. If we are great for 3 more years, and then find ourselves in this position again, I'm fine with that because we're in this position now. Let's end it. Even if it's a short-lived temporary fix. I mean, but I think long term, I think Russell Wilson would be a great choice.
Yeah. So if Denver couldn't make any trade successful for a quarterback, and all you had to pick with was the free agents, who are you going with? Teddy Bridgewater?
I don't know. Dave, I know everything's alleged and innocent to proven guilty. I mean, there are a lot of different people that have come forward with it. It's my personal opinion. I'm not on the jury, so.
Yeah, no, it's not that we're saying that he's guilty. It's not that we're saying that he's innocent. It's that the question is out there on what happened, and it's gone farther than just a civil case. Now it's going into an actual case where he can get jail time. And so you have to wait that out and see what happens. I mean, it's gotten to the point now where he could face some serious jail time. And so it's not so much whether he's innocent or guilty that we're saying, no, don't do it. It's we need to wait and find out what's going to happen before we can even entertain that thought.
And also, how many games would the league suspend him? It's
yeah.
I mean, Tom Brady got suspension for deflated
cheating. That's why he's won those 15 Super Bowls. Cheating.
Pull KB's last 2 comments up because
for some reason I think Fangio and Rodgers really get along. And would you be okay with Rodgers and Fangio? No.
Yes, I would be.
No.
Why? Why would you not?
Because there's only so much that Aaron Rodgers can do to negate the stupid things that Fangio does. Like we talked about this last night. Yes, he's really good at defense, and Aaron Rodgers can fix the offensive part of it. But Aaron Rodgers can't help him fix the special teams coordinator coach. He can't help fix.
He's gone on Monday, Mike.
But he can't help fix like the coaching challenge issues, like the time management stuff.
Gosh.
So I'm just saying He's failed in every other level of a head coach and defense.
I know, but so they can hire somebody.
Like
they can hire somebody.
If Aaron Rodgers was like, I will only come to Denver if Fangio stays, cool, keep him. But if we have the option of getting rid of Fangio to get and still have Aaron Rodgers, get rid of Fangio.
I agree with KB. I hadn't considered that, but I think they would get along great because Vic wants to.
They would never talk.
Vic wants to focus on the defense. So Rodgers like, I don't have the coach up my rear end. This is perfect. Yeah.
Let's see. Brad Smith. The offseason will be very interesting and think Broncos will act fast and aggressively with staff and players. Thank you guys for your insight. Of course.
Thanks,
Brad. We're not that insightful, but we're fans and we like to talk Broncos. So join us.
Brad's right. This is going to be the most interesting offseason. I'm really not prepared to let myself.
I thought last year was going to be nuts with the whole Teddy Drew thing, but I mean, you got quarterback, you've got head coach, you've got coordinators, you've got ownership, like all of it is coming to the head this offseason. Let's see.
KB's right though. If we had Rodgers, we'd be up by 20 points when Vic makes those errors. So there. But
he still made them.
I want to know. I want to know who's advising him though, because you're challenging plays based on somebody telling you to do that. The coaches, unless it's directly in front of them, they're basing it on guys up in the booth, guys looking at the TV. Guys having different access and vantage points than someone right on the field. So who's ever telling him that? He should have stopped trusting him. That's the mistake that he made.
Well, and you and I said the same thing when we went to Denver and went to that Raiders game. Like, it seemed like Fangio had made a challenge decision based off of the video we were seeing over the screen at the field. But then when you actually went back and looked at it and they showed a different angle, you're like, oh, well, yeah, he completed it. But he'd already thrown the challenge flag because that second angle didn't come in until well after he'd thrown the flag.
I remember I was going crazy. I'm like, what employee of the Broncos didn't show that last clip first? Because the entire stadium was looking at the screen and we all said, throw it. And then they showed the next one. We're like, oh my God.
No, pick it back up. Pick it back up. Oh, it was terrible. That must have been like a Fangio hater, like up in the booth. I'll make him look like an idiot. Not play that one. That was ridiculous. Okay, so last question before we go.
Okay.
Monday, is Fangio fired?
I really think he is. And it's, Ian Rappaport was on with Rich Eisen today, and he's said, it's really up in the air with Vic Fangio. Adam Schefter was on The Fan yesterday, and he's like, Broncos want to keep him, but I'm not sure what's going to happen. It's usually these things are so obvious and so cut and dry, and these guys are so tied in that you would think that they're just going to clean up the big three, Fangio, Shermer, and McMahon. But I don't know. It's going to be a very interesting Monday for sure. I mean, those other two guys are guaranteed gone.
Yeah. And when we look back at the things that the news that breaks and where we get our information from, if you're looking for an accurate take on what's going on, you look for what Benjamin Albright says. If you're looking for the person that's tied into the team and is like the mouthpiece, not saying that's a good or bad thing, but the mouthpiece for the team, then you're looking at Mike Kliss. So the fact that Mike Kliss went on a radio show, I think it was Columbus was the show that he was on, and said that he believes that no matter what happens tomorrow, Fangio's gone, that makes me think that the team wants him to start putting that out there, that Fangio's gone.
Right.
At least I'm hoping. Because normally, like, things don't come from Kliss unless the team wants it to come from Kliss. If you're looking at someone that would put something out with some information that's accurate, you're looking more along the lines of like our podcast would get it from Locked On or from Broncos Country Tonight, not necessarily Albright, because Albright is usually pretty good with with what he's saying of what's going on with the team. But if the team is looking to just get something out there and kind of see how it feels, they're going to go through Kliss. So if Kliss said it, I'm kind of thinking that the team is wanting that put out there to calm things down. Like, we are going to fire him. Like, I don't know why you just can't say that.
I mean, I could listen to Ben and Ryan all day. I mean, the insights that you get from those guys. I mean, if you're not listening to Broncos Country tonight, you're truly missing out. But Ben is so tied in. I mean, he's
down the hallway from Peyton. Like, he's right there in the building.
Yeah. And the guy is just, I mean, what he knows is just phenomenal. So
yeah, and like Albright gets in Twitter beefs like all the time. Like, he's fighting every day, and it's like, show me where Albright is wrong. Like, when it comes to Broncos reporting, everybody's going to get one or two wrong. Albright might not even get that many wrong. Like, he's pretty accurate in what he's saying, right. As far as breaking news, because like in order for him to break news, like, he has to learn it, and then he has to send it over to his editors who have to verify it. They verify it, then send it back to Ben, and then send it back again to double check it, and then they release it. So, like, everything
is that how it's working there?
Pretty much everything is vetted. Like, when he puts it out, it's been vetted multiple times.
Yeah, guy's amazing.
So that is going to about do it for us. I know you all missed seeing Johnny and Isaiah. I mean, they're good. Isaiah's just got some family stuff, and Johnny's internet is terrible. And so, but he's going to be at the game tomorrow. We're actually going to check in with him on his cell phone. We'll see how that goes. We're going to check in with him tomorrow at the last pregame show.
He can borrow someone else's phone.
He could borrow, yeah. He can go meet up with Prophet, and we'll talk to both of them, and on the same phone. That's what we'll do. But make sure you are liking, subscribing, commenting, sharing, and turning on notifications so you can catch all of our content when it's posted. We are not stopping during the off season. We will be broadcasting every Tuesday and every Thursday during the off season. There's also going to be some videos that we release as well. KB82, no, I have not seen the new Spider-Man.
I have not either.
Don't ruin it, or I will find you and scold you.
Scold you. You know what just occurred to me, Mike, is that this is the first time that a good beard has appeared on Nothing Rhymes.
Right? It's even multicolored.
Skunky.
These are kids. This is me. That's what that is. But again, the MHRT podcast is moving to Tuesdays at 7654, and the Nothing Rhymes with Orange and Blue podcast is moving to Thursdays at 7654. One more pregame show. Tomorrow, the pregame show is going to be the last one of the season, and then we're going to put that on the shelf until next season. And the network is no longer carrying Broncos Talk. So on Tuesdays, instead of Broncos Talk, it's going to be MHRT podcast. Don's taking that back over, and he'll continue doing that on his Anchor channel. So go ahead and go check that out. I mean, we almost have to do the Mile High Five. I know this is where it was like created, and it's like Johnny's thing, but he's not here, so we're gonna do it, and it's gonna be better. Richie, shut your mouth, or I'll fire you from your volunteer position with the network. You stop it. Arms out, we say, Mile High Five! Yay! I miss Boggins.
Oh, the frozen.
Yeah, that was really funny. All right, guys, we will see you on the pregame show tomorrow, and then we'll check in with you guys on Tuesday for the MHRT podcast. See you guys later. Have fun.